Can I ask you a question? Who's leading your life right now? Your purpose or your emotions? Because here's what I've learned. The most important person you'll ever lead isn't your team, it isn't your clients, it's not even your family. Welcome back to the Quiet Impact Podcast, where introverted leaders and entrepreneurs learn to amplify their presence, profit from their purpose, and lead without compromising their peace. If the most important person you ever lead isn't your family, isn't your team, isn't your clients, who is it? It's you. And if you're anything like most introverted leaders I work with, you don't struggle because of a lack of talent. You may struggle sometimes because you overthink or you second guess yourself or ignore your own energy. If the most important person you'll ever lead is you, that's why this conversation matters. Welcome to the Quiet Impact Podcast, where we nurture the journey of introverts who desire to achieve greater levels of influence, income, and impact. The go-to most important person that you'll lead is you. So leadership starts with self-leadership. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional with your thoughts, your choices, and your actions every day. When you lead yourself well, everything else begins to follow. We're not shy, we're not timid, we're not needing to be fixed. We're an introvert, and that is our superpower. The most important person you ever lead, not your team, not your clients, not your family, it's you. Because every conversation you have with someone else is shaped by the conversation you're having with yourself. Let that sink in. I've discovered over the years that most introverts don't struggle because they lack intelligence or talent or discipline. They struggle because no one taught them how to lead themselves. And when you don't know how to lead yourself, life starts leading you. You start reacting instead of responding. You become busy instead of intentional. You start measuring your worth by your productivity instead of your purpose. And the truth is, quiet leadership doesn't begin when someone gives you a title. It begins the moment you decide to become the leader in your own thoughts, your own habits, your own emotions, and your own choices. Now, it's a journey. It is a journey. I'm going to give you some things, but it's a journey. We are human beings, we're not robotic, and it's a journey of growth. I want to share with you some self leadership practices that I have found to be ones that most introverted leaders need. And they're not about becoming louder, they're around helping you to become steadier. The first one is clarity. Know what really matters. One of the biggest drains on introvert energy isn't work, it's uncertainty. When everything feels important, nothing is. Nothing received your best attention. I've noticed that many introverts spend more time deciding than doing because, hey, okay, we want to make the perfect decision. But clarity doesn't come from thinking longer. Let that sink in. Clarity does not come from thinking longer. It comes from deciding what matters most. So you can ask yourself, what season am I in? What deserves my best energy? And what can wait? Because you probably heard this before, but yeah, you try not to think about it too much. Is every yes is also a no to something else. And the more intentional your yes becomes, the more peaceful your self leadership becomes. Clarity is actually freeing. The second one is learn to listen before you lead. This is a self awareness thought. I believe that this may be the most overlooked leadership skill for introverts because so often people will tell us, just be more confident. But confidence isn't the first problem. Self-awareness is. And most introverts don't struggle because we're quiet. We struggle because we overthink. We second guess ourselves after we've already made a decision. We've misread possibly our own emotions and assume that every feeling is truth. We may ignore our own energy until we have nothing left and we're serving from the dredges at the bottom of the cup, or we disconnect from what we truly need because we're so focused on taking care of everybody else. Any of these sound familiar? One, two, three, all? Okay. Self awareness is learning to pause long enough to ask, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? Is it fear or is it wisdom? Is it anxiety or is it intuition? Like these are all very different things. And the better you know yourself, the better you'll be able to lead yourself. And when you learn to lead yourself well, other people naturally begin trusting your leadership. The third one, confidence. And I've said before, courage before confidence. As you take more courageous action, you start to develop a level of confidence. And one way to go about that is keep small promises to yourself. Confidence comes from keeping the integrity with you. Confidence is built every time you say, I'm going to write today. I'm going to make that phone call today. I'm going to record that video today. And then you actually do it. Not because you felt motivated, but because you honored your word. Every promise you keep becomes another piece of evidence that you can trust yourself. And isn't that what confidence is? I can trust myself. I've been here before. I can trust myself. I have experienced that I can do this. I can trust myself. I have a bank account of being able to trust myself. The next one is choosing consistency over intensity. Let's talk about this. Early on in my career as a leader, it was the more you did, the more disciplined you were. And as I moved into entrepreneurship, the more I hustled. That was considered discipline. But discipline isn't hustle. It isn't grinding yourself until you're exhausted and you have nothing left and you're wearing this badge of honor of, I just wore myself out. No, 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 no. It's not proving your worth by how busy you are. Real discipline is returning to what really matters again and again. Quiet consistency that shows up every single time. That beats urgency and intensity every time. It could look like a single post every week. It could look like one podcast. It could look like one conversation. It could look like one courageous decision. It's those tiny actions repeated consistently that will help you build to where you want to go. You don't have to sprint. You simply have to keep walking. When I think about number five, resilience, the thing that comes to mind for me is don't believe every thought you think. One of the gifts of being an introvert is that we process deeply. The challenge is sometimes we process ourselves right into analysis paralysis. So one difficult conversation becomes, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible communicator. Or 1 month in slow sales becomes, my business is not going to work. Or one criticism might become, I must not be good enough. That's not resilience. That's allowing temporary emotions to become permanent conclusions. Write that down. That's allowing temporary emotions to become permanent conclusions. Resilience is learning to separate facts from feelings. Absolutely, our feelings matter. Absolutely. but they don't always tell the truth. They deserve to be acknowledged, but they shouldn't always be given that role of chief decision maker. So, what you can ask yourself is, what is true right now? That single question has rescued me more times than I can count when it comes to whether or not I promote my feelings as being the decision maker. Number 6, protect your capacity. Now, I know you may have an image coming to mind of Calgon, take me away, and it's all good. This isn't about bubble baths, and although I love myself a diffuser and some essential oils, it's not always about that. I'm talking about protecting your nervous system, the one that carries your calling. Being overwhelmed as a leader keeps you from making wise decisions. A burnt out entrepreneur doesn't create better work, doesn't create witty ideas, doesn't create innovative solutions. And an exhausted mind cannot hear clear direction. So, what does it look like? What does self leadership look like when it comes to when it comes to protecting your capacity and self care? Going to bed earlier, like going to bed. Don't push through, just go to bed. Taking a walk, closing the laptop, turning off notifications, or praying before reacting, giving your body permission to rest before your body forces you to. Rest is not something you earn, it's something that allows you to keep serving well. Protect your capacity because your future depends on it. And then the last one I want to share with you is accountability. Stop leading alone. Now, this might surprise you, but self leadership was never meant to be self isolation. There's a difference. One of the greatest lies that introverts tend to believe is I'll figure it out on my own. But growth accelerates when you have someone that walks beside you in some capacity, not someone who pushes you. Someone who, when you forget who you are, they remind you who you are. Someone who asks you hard questions, and someone who notices when you've started hiding again, and someone who notices when you started hiding again. Accountability isn't guilt, it's about alignment. It's about having people in your corner who help you become the person you said you want to become. Yes, we're quiet leaders. And yes, we need community. Having people in our corner who help us keep becoming the person we wanted to become, who we said we were going to become, who call us out when we started hiding again. Absolutely. We need that. Here's what I hope you remember. Self leadership is not about becoming somebody else, it's about coming more fully yourself, leading your thoughts before they lead you, leading your emotions before they control you, leading your habits before they define you, leading your calendar before it steals your peace, and leading your purpose before the world's expectations pull you off course. That's where quiet confidence is born, not from perfection and not from performance, but from learning to trust the person in the mirror. Now, if this conversation encouraged you, would you do me a favor? Share this episode with another thoughtful leader who needs a reminder that their quiet leadership isn't a limitation, it's a strength. And if you're looking for a place to continue growing with women who understand that success doesn't have to come at the expense of your peace, I love for you to pull up a chair and hang out with me. Every week, I share encouragement, practical business wisdom, and honest conversations for introverted leaders who are building something meaningful. You can join me at the Introvert Achievers Networks. Until next time, keep leading with your quiet strength, your unwavering purpose, and the kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself to change the room.